why Larry Bird belongs in the GOAT debate and most underrated players of all time, or he's really close, I'll say it, at least in the GOAT debate, and why he's been overlooked. It's because Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were in the GOAT debate back in their time. Magic Johnson's career was cut short. Larry Bird started dwindling down, getting older, and Jordan came along. So the real and then media started booming, having more shows and talks about GOAT debates and all that, and they were getting ratings and battling for ratings when Michael Jordan came along, and so they really wanted to ignore Larry Bird to pump up Michael Jordan. Now, there's no question Jordan was good and is good, but they left purposely left out Larry Bird to elevate Michael Jordan higher than he should be. Now, that's not I'm not saying higher than he should be as a talent, but they tried to make him look better to promote Nike sales. They tried to make him look in like non-human, basically that good. When you're talking about somebody as if they're not human, that's for Nike sales, that's for TV ratings, another thing. And then they're not acknowledging Larry Bird. They're not making comparisons. They're not, and I can tell you specifically, Larry Bird, he doesn't have the high flying shooting of Michael Jordan. But what's Michael Jordan actually good at? Forget how fancy it looks. Jordan is good at the fact that defense cannot stop him from shooting because he can fly or he can do fadeaway jump shots. He can go in the air and make moves while he's in the air and make a shot go in. And he's got accuracy and speed. So what's Larry Bird good at? Larry Bird's quick. He's not. You can't say he's super fast going in a straight line like track and field speed, but he's got quickness, and he's got the same thing Michael Jordan has. You can't stop him on defense. You can't stop his shot. And that's what Jordan's good at. Now, Jordan's fancier than Bird. Now, I wouldn't say he's fancier. Bird's pretty fancy, and it's pretty entertaining to watch Bird, how he can just be so quick, get a shot off, and they can't stop him. He's tall. That helps, but he's quick. He's quick, and he's accurate. So they're the same thing. They're accurate. You can't stop their shot, and he's quick enough to elude them and trick them. And so the other thing that Larry Bird's good at is passing. I've seen him do backwards pass, falling to his knees, face at the baseline on one side of the key, facing the out of bounds, falling, going to his knees, pass it backwards with two hands over his head all the way across the key to one of his players, and they score. I mean, he is probably the best passer. He's right there with Magic Johnson. I've seen him do trick passes like Magic Johnson does. He's one of the few players. There's a few others that have done that aren't in the GOAT debate who's done those things. But Magic and Larry are rightly in the GOAT debate. And Magic's maybe you could probably put Magic behind LeBron because they do similar things. Magic's the more of a facilitator. LeBron did facilitating, plus he scored like Jordan. And and I do want to mention real quick, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and some of the other centers, they're not in the GOAT debate years ago. Now they've become in it because people are like, that's not fair that they're not in it. Well, it's the post role is so much different. Post players are receivers in a sense, whereas perimeter players play a lot of quarterback a lot of times. Even Jordan, even though he's a shooter only, he still did. He was the guy that had to pass the ball to Kareem. He's so in the post. So I really don't think they should be in the same argument. I think you should argue who's the GOATs for the post play, who's the GOATs for the perimeter, and you can almost separate facilitators from scorers and argue the GOAT. But overall, there is an overall GOAT debate, and it goes to the perimeter players. And so Larry Bird, they wanted to do Nike promotions, and it's about money and ratings is why they quit talking about Larry Bird, and they wrongly did that. And so, it could have been some racism there too, black racism against that hate white people, and there's some of that too, because that kind of got bigger and bigger as time went on, and nobody calls that kind of stuff out. They only, they falsify white people being racist all the time, and come to find out after doing some studies that I've done recently that the percentages of white people was like 6% of Americans were involved in slavery 200 years ago. Only 6%. I mean, so they've really blown it out of proportion. Come to find out, it's been a huge scam and trick played on America, really, and it's been played on Black America because the media lies, or whoever's done that trick makes them think white people hate them. So in return, Black folks have, in self defense to a lie by media, have ended up being qualified to do revenge. And if you're allowed to hear about religion, real religion, you're not supposed to do revenge. You're supposed to try to make peace. And if they had done that instead of listening to media, if more people would do that, they'd find out, hey, there's a lot of nice white people, you know. So most of them are, as a matter of fact. So, but today it's really messed up. But I think the bigger issue though was because there are a lot of great Black players, no question. But the big issue, and they're coming from Africa too and stuff. And I'm about to run out of time. But the biggest issue is ratings. They wanted to make Jordan look like a god, and so they ignored other players. But Larry Bird is not slow. He's slow. He's 6'9". He's fast for a power forward, but he played small forward because his power forward teammate was one of the best in history, Kevin McHale. And he should be argued for that more. It's between him and Tim Duncan, possibly. But it's also Karl Malone, but they're different types, different style. So I got 10 seconds left. But yeah, Larry Bird's been overlooked, and I've looked back at his highlights and studied. I found out that his defensive rating is way higher. He's one of the highest in history on defensive rating. So it's not true that he's that, and it's not true he's slow. He'd be fast as a power forward, put it like that. He's not as slow as Paul Pierce.